One thing that I've always wanted to do is street photography at a tighter focal length. So I usually shoot with a 28mm, which is what I have on my Ricoh GR3. It's an 18mm focal length, but in full frame equivalent, it's 28mm. And then on my other cameras, I usually use a 35mm focal length. So this is what I normally use. It is kind of a classic focal length when it comes to street photography. A lot of the greats have shot with 35mm because you can get a lot more in the scene. But one thing that I really love seeing is when I go through like my old photo books, I really love these like compressed images of like the street with like, a lot of signage and just having that narrower field of view, but still having those kind of layers. And that's something that I really want to experiment with because I feel like I've done a lot of street photography with wider focal lengths, but not so much with tighter focal lengths. And I think it could be fun to just experiment with that and to see how that goes. So this is what we're shooting with today. We have our trusty Fujifilm X Pro 2, and on it I have a Sigma 56mm, which in full frame equivalent is I think probably like 84mm, but it's close enough to 85. I'm gonna put on a little action camera on me to take you guys along with me, and I think it should be fun. Alright, so I'm at St. Clair subway station. I think I'm gonna shoot around here because, well, I love this station. You can access the subway, streetcar, bus all in one place, and it's all indoors, and it all just looks super fascinating. So I'm gonna try and shoot some photos around here. Yeah, should be really fun, and I'm gonna try and shoot around this area too. First shot of the day. Nothing spectacular here, but hey, it's kind of a cool shot of the TTC supervisor against the concrete and LED lights. I really like this shot. I feel like it tells a little bit of a story with the whole family taking the escalators down. I also like the distorted reflected light in the back. Coming out of the station, I thought it'd be cool to capture the TTC sign in front with the entrance in the background. I quickly realized this focal length was too tight, so I ended up just photographing the entrance. Nothing crazy, but trying out a new focal length is making me feel like a total beginner again. This focal length is so tight and not used to it at all. We're gonna try our best. Man, hopefully it goes out. I was making my way to the intersection of Oakwood and St. Clair West. I really liked how dense the clouds looked and the people waiting to cross. A very ordinary photo. Not much happening in the scene, but that's okay. Let's move on. I'm feeling quite shy taking photos, so I feel like this is so obvious, and I feel like I'm not getting the best photos. I mean, I know that shouldn't be my mindset, because I'm literally trying a new focal length, but damn, it's so different than using a wider angle. I noticed this sporty red car and I thought it'd be a fun capture, especially against the red of the TTC bus. Not a bad photo. I like how the line of cars leads your eye from front to back, and the signage on the right helps balance the frame. Now, I remember this street having more signage, but now that I'm looking at it, I don't think it has that much. But it's okay, I really like the area, so Seeing birds fly by is always a photo trigger for me. I just find them so fascinating. Grateful for summer days like this. Man, how beautiful. Like, look at those clouds. I find myself photographing intersections a lot with this focal length. I think it's my easy way of composing some sort of human life alongside the infrastructure around it. Nothing crazy here, but I do enjoy the depth of the clouds and the layers of the trolley poles in the background. After a while, I realized I was making the same kind of images, so I tried to get a detail shot instead. I like the colors here, but it doesn't tell much of a story. Walking down the street, I noticed a man smoking a cigarette and wearing a fedora. I thought it was an interesting sight and I wanted to take a photograph. I've always been drawn to this corner of St. Clair West and Dufferin. It's a colorful intersection and it still has a little bit of a historical feel, a mix of modern signage and old buildings that make a unique combo. I like the reds in this photograph, but there's not much else to see here. Just on the other side is the 7-Eleven. I actually quite enjoy this photograph. The customer walking out with a drink, the people about to get on the bus, and people waiting to cross the intersection. And I just love the details of the building. I love when you can still see the old street signs on buildings. It feels very European, and we just don't make signs like that anymore. Man, I really have no idea if I got anything good. Kind of aiming and praying. This one was actually shot off camera, but I like this photo. It was taken by the stairs down to the subway, and I like how it's framed. The boy looking above makes me wonder what he's looking at, and the compressed perspective pulls me in, almost like I'm right there with the people heading down. I also like this photo of people waiting for the subway. I made my way over to Yonge and Dundas Square, thinking there'd be more opportunities to photograph the bustle and the signage. This was a simple street portrait, but I felt compelled to shoot it with the FIFA billboard up top. It probably would have been more interesting with people crossing the street to add some movement. Another photo taken on Yonge Street. It's not the most spectacular image, but I think it might age interestingly. The stores in this square have changed so much over the years. I wonder what it'll look like in 10 years, especially once the construction in the back is done. I've passed by this Burger King so many times, and I've always wondered about the sheer number of signs here. I like it though, and how all the circular signs just blend right in. The Ed Mirvish Theatre is one of the oldest theatres in Toronto. Kind of funny, or should I say disappointing, to see it taken by all the commercial signage. Looking back at all of my daytime shots, I realized that they're all just kind of the same. I'm shooting a lot of intersections. I'm shooting a lot of pedestrians waiting on the side. They're all kind of the same size, and there's just not much variety in my shots. I really want to get out and actually shoot more scenes at night, and I really want to shoot around Chinatown because it can be kind of fun to kind of shoot all the different neon lights. And so I think I'm going to try and challenge myself to kind of shoot more textures, more details, and just a variety of shots. But we're gonna do our best. Doors to open on the right. Also, I did a really bad job of trying to record footage here because I forgot my POV mount, and so recording footage and trying to take photos at the same time, it was just a little difficult. I'm filling in some of these with some talking head shots. Okay, I quite like that shot. I was feeling quite discouraged because I feel like I'm out of creative juice, but I really like that reflection shot. kind of want to cross the road and get a wider shot. Is that cheating? No. I feel like I've lost my ability to just compose things very easily, which is a very frustrating feeling. Despite shooting around Chinatown many times before, I've never actually seen it at night. It's so different than what it usually looks like during the day. It's usually bustling and like filled with people who are just surrounding around like the markets and all the different shops. So it's a completely different vibe at night. It's just so empty and quiet. And it kind of made me realize how many more shops I might have missed because I hadn't visited it at another point in the day. Like, I've never seen the gates of these stores closed before. I've always wanted to capture the signage here, especially with like some layered compositions and like having the signage against the blue tinted sky. I should really get out more during softer light like this. I feel like it just kind of changes everything. I try my best to capture moments with people in them, but honestly, I was feeling quite shy, and I felt like that came through in my photos. I really like the shot. Nothing crazy is happening, but I love the layering of the Chinatown signage, plus the power line posts framed perfectly against the deep blue sky. The atmosphere just feels right in this one. It was in this exact moment that I didn't realize the footage was stuck on 2x zoom, and while shooting footage at night. I'm sorry for the noisy footage, and I'm sorry for my face being so close up. Not the most exciting image. I want to get one of the workers in it, but got way too camera shy. Oh well. I'm feeling very shy because I feel like this is drawing a lot of attention. But another thing that I'm noticing about shooting at 85 is that I feel like it almost has to be more composed. Like, I can't just do spur of the action kind of shots because, yeah, like I'd have no idea where I should be. And like, also I think this lens is just a little bit slower. This is really cool. Telling me I definitely need to come back and shoot here with a wider lens. I think I'm definitely going to do that later this week because, man, Chinatown looks so cool at night. It looks completely different as well. Like, there are just some areas that are not lit. Oh wait, I think the lampposts are just starting to turn on. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I was like, why is it so dark? And we're going to keep walking around. Yeah, usually these stalls are all filled up with fruits during the day, like fruits and vegetables, so it's really interesting to see it kind of empty. I ended up walking along Spadina Avenue to see what other photos I could find. At this point, I was feeling quite tired and quite frustrated with my photos, but, you know, we kept trying, and I tried to capture some of the moments and ambience that I wouldn't have noticed during the day. I remember when this mural was painted. It was in like 2021. I had tried to film one of my first like street photography videos, and it's actually posted on YouTube, and my photos in that were not great. Kind of funny thinking about it now. Across the street, I noticed a man sitting alone in a chair in front of a shop. I thought it was an interesting sight, especially with the store half locked up and half open, lit by the interior lights. On this street corner, I really liked how the windows wrapped around the building. You could see people eating inside on the right side, and all the close-up stores on the left. I really love this image. It feels so simple, but I think there's something beautiful about looking into so many people's lives at once. It's like when you look up at a lit condo building at night and catch a glimpse of complete strangers, a reminder that you too are living your own life somewhere in the middle of all theirs. So, would I do this again? Probably not. 85mm I feel is a really awkward focal length where it's not quite wide, but it's also not quite tight enough to get the compressed images that I want. I just kept feeling like I was missing a layer in my images because I couldn't get wide enough. I was constantly fighting the focal length. I feel like a 135 would have probably gotten me closer to the images I had envisioned, but either way, I feel like my best work definitely comes from the lens that I know best, and that's with wider lenses. But still, I'm really happy that I got to experiment and to try this out, because I think it's always nice to kind of switch things up every once in a while when photography starts to feel a little bit repetitive. I probably walked away with like 2 to 3 images that I really love, but hey, experimentation is good, and I'm glad I did it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.